Honduran kids in Colombia. Which means she'll disappear for good.
Imagine walking into a room right now, seeing an empty bed. What we do?
You quit your job, and you go and rescue those kids.
So at this moment, she could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA. She's a major operator.
It's all rebel territory. No one goes in. Not the army, not the police, not us.
What if this was your daughter?
There's no Marine unit coming.
You're on your own. This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's going to pass the drug trade. Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time with a child 5 to 10 times a day. God's children are not for sale.
How long you been doing this?
12 years now.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? Puedes ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana.
Te lo prometo.
For Homeland Security, you know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
Which means she'll disappear for good. Imagine walking into a room right now, seeing an empty bed. What we do?
You quit your job, and you go and rescue those kids.
So at this moment, she could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA. She's a major operator.
It's all rebel territory. No one goes in. Not the army, not the police, not us.
What if this was your daughter?
There's no Marine unit coming.
You're on your own. This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
Welcome to the Sound of Freedom, the red carpet premiere, where we get to hang out with the cast, the crew, and the people that made this phenomenal, impactful film possible. We're going to be your hosts for tonight, guiding you through all the fun stuff. My name is Owen.
My name is Monica, and I'm here to tell you guys that we are doing a buy one, get one special on these tickets right now. So go to angel.com/BOGO. Again, angel.com/BOGO if you want to experience this impactful film.
Yeah, I didn't get buy one, get one. They didn't offer that to me.
Oh my gosh,
I had to pay
did.
for my ticket and for the tuxedo. Jeez,
Well,
Louis.
hopefully you don't have to pay for the popcorn.
Yeah, that's where they get you. But this is not just a film, right? This is actually a movement. And I got to tell you, watching this film, I got a chance to kind of see a sneak peek. Watching this film changed me as a person. Not only did it address a very serious issue, the issue of child trafficking all across the world, but especially how it hits America, and that America is the #1 buyer of child trafficked services. That really has to hit you in a place that's close to home.
While we are the #1 buyer, what I hope is that we can change and become the #1 buyer of this film to be the #1 fighters against child trafficking.
Oh, that's so good.
And you guys can do this by going again to the website. But first, we are going to show you a trailer just to give you a little glimpse to see kind of what this show is going to give you. Keep in mind, this is an intense topic, but it is shown and depicted in such a respectful way.
It really is, yeah. It's done so well.
I promise you will not want to miss out on this, but stay tuned because we will be coming back after the trailer for some exclusive red carpet interviews.
I don't think I can do this job, Tim.
As soon as I lay down, all I see are those kids' faces. How long you been doing this?
12 years.
How do you do it?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's gonna pass the drug trade.
Señor Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? Quizá puedas ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana.
Imagine walking into a room right now, seeing an empty bed. What will we do?
Shivering stars drift around in the sky.
We're Homeland Security. You know we can't go off rescuing kids in Colombia.
I like all
This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
We're talking about extracting an 11-year-old girl from an army of rebels.
Not just her. I'm talking about rescuing hundreds of kids.
She could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA.
Over 2 million children a year are being sucked into the deepest recesses of hell. If we do nothing, someday it's gonna reach the likes of you. What if this was your daughter?
wherever I go, I'll find my way home.
All right, you guys, welcome live to our red carpet. We are here with Jordan Harmon. And tell us a little bit about Angel Studios, how you guys are involved with this movie, and why you decided to distribute this one.
Yeah, so we've known about Tim Ballard and we've known Tim Ballard for a long time, and we've known about his story for a long time. And when the opportunity presented itself, where Tim came to us and said, "Hey guys, I think the rights are becoming available. This feels like an opportunity to get together." It was honestly, quite frankly, a miracle, because in a matter of 5 days, Tim had taken the energy to pull in Jim Caviezel and Eduardo Verástegui and Jaime and us into a room, and we were able to close out a miraculous distribution agreement. And so that, for those who have context, that's unheard of. That never happens. It usually takes weeks, months, if not years, to pull off something like that. And so, you know, the amount of trust that Eduardo and Alejandro and their team have put in us, we're grateful, and we're so excited to continue to tell these incredible stories that amplify light into the world.
Well, thank you. It definitely fits in with the branding of Angel Studios. You have done a lot more lighter stuff like Dry Bar and Tuttle Twins and stuff like that. So how do you feel like this fits in with the Angel Studios?
Yeah, so Angel's mission is to tell stories that amplify light. And the gatekeepers of our mission are the Angel Guild. And that's comprised of all the chosen investors and the dry bar investors and the Tuttle Twin investors and any one of our projects. And they're asked, does this story amplify light? And we define light as whatever is lovely, honest, true, excellent. Those principles are vital to our mission, and we want the community to make sure that we're following those principles. And so they came and watched this movie, although very heavy. They came back with a resounding yes. This does amplify light, and this is a movie that needs to get to every corner of the earth.
I love that. Amen. I completely agree. I left feeling with so much hope, so much peace for the future of what can be because of this film. If you guys go and support it, again, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Back to you, Owen.
Ladies and gentlemen, special treat. We've got Jaime Hernandez, who is a producer on the film. Jaime, why did you get involved with a film of such depth and such, a huge... Sorry, let's do it one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Jaime Hernandez here, who is an executive producer on the film. Jaime, why did you choose to get involved with such a serious, emotional film?
Thank you. Well, it's an honor to be here. I mean, this is a very special film, probably one of the more important projects that I've been involved so far. When we heard about what was happening in our own country in regards to child trafficking and how it was affecting children as young as 3, 4, 5-year-olds. As a father myself, it was just something that I felt called to get involved in. I mean, I think everyone has heard to a certain extent about human trafficking or child trafficking, but I think very few of us are really aware about the magnitudes and the depths of what was going on. And everyone relates to, the trafficking subject matter to perhaps older individuals, that are victims of this issue. But, when we're talking about 3, 4, 5-year-olds, that's something that immediately, we felt called to get involved in. And it's been a long journey. We started working in this project a little over 8 years ago. Yeah. And we're so excited to finally be here and for the film to be out on July 4th. So I invite everyone to check it out.
Was there ever a time in the film where you saw something that just really drove you to an emotion you weren't expecting to feel?
Yeah, this without a doubt has been an emotional roller coaster. Every day on set, was a special day, even when what's gonna happen. I mean, because everything's planned and it's scripted, but even when what's happening, I mean, the depths and the magnitude of just the scenes being brought to life is something that shakes you to your core. I mean, one very big example is, every crew member that usually works on film, they've seen it all, they've traveled the world, but there was one particular scene that we did with the girl in the bathtub, kind of sharing a little bit of her story, and there was not a dry eye on set at that moment. I mean, it was just emotional every step of the way. So I think that this is a movie that will definitely touch people's hearts and inspire them to try to do something about shining a light on the issue of trafficking. So again, I invite everyone to check it out and visit their nearest theater.
Thank you so much, Jaime. Thank you for being here and sharing that story. Ladies and gentlemen, Jaime Hernandez, producer on the film.
Hi, you guys. Welcome. We're back live. We're on the red carpet. We're here with David, correct? And I want to know a little bit about the Gotcha project we were just talking about. That's fascinating to me. Give us a little rundown.
So 20 years I've been driving around in pink fire trucks. I have 250 in 3 countries.
I'm jealous.
And basically the trucks represent the value of a woman in our communities. And then we grew, and we're the largest all-volunteer nonprofit in the United States. But then I moved from that because I never did it for the money. I created it to get communities to do the right thing. And I landed the opportunity to inspire, to help the fight against human trafficking. So with my connections with public safety, fire, police, military, all the biker clubs across America have been asking me for 20 years. I've created a world record poker run on Harleys. And I'm giving a Harley who we're raffling it off to some winner, but I'm having everybody from the movie sign it. It's called the Sound of Freedom bike. So...
Vroom, vroom. I love that. That's so amazing. You're doing a lot.
No, it's going to be unbelievable. We have a ton of... I want to give money away. Right? And so the only way you're going to do that is inspire the country. And Gotcha means get off the couch and heal America. So get off the couch, make it your responsibility to take action. I've never been affected, but I'm off my couch and I'm going to make it my responsibility and mission to take care of those who can't fight for themselves. So I've been doing that for years. ever.
You heard it here first. Gotcha. And one way to participate, get off the couch, is to buy a ticket on angel.com/BOGO. Buy one, get one, you guys. Be a part of this. Tell me how you got involved with this movie specifically. You're very involved in the community, but what about this movie?
People that I've met throughout the country knew the producers, and people just heard about my calling. And they said, if you want to give money away, why wouldn't you give it here? And I said, sure. And you guys have basically put your arms around me and treating me special. And that's all you're looking for, is a pat on the back. That's the way I am. So.
Ah, I love that. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming out here, sharing your charity. We need all the help we can get. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Owen, we're going to send it back to you.
Wow. All sorts of people here at the Angel Studios premiere. I'm here with Rod Barr, who's a writer on the film. Talk to me, what's your experience in writing? Was this your first movie, or have you written movies before?
Oh, I've written movies before. Written with Alejandro, the director.
Okay.
We co-wrote this one together.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing experience and certainly a wild ride in a lot of ways.
I've written before various pieces, and I've handed it in, and they've cut the first 2 paragraphs out, or they cut the last pages out. What was it like going through an editing process with writing that I would assume you were very passionate about? Did you experience that at all?
Oh, sure. I mean, Alejandro and I took a long time to figure out how to tell this story.
Yeah.
Because you want to balance the storytelling, the movie telling, the grip. Let's tell a great story with the difficulty of the subject matter. And if you go one way or the other, you lose the subject, or you lose the audience because they can't handle that much difficulty.
Yes.
So the balance was a very, very touchy, delicate thing to find, and it took a while to do it, and that's a lot of drafts. That's the writing.
Was there any red tape that you guys came across where it's like you had a scene that was really good, but then maybe the producers didn't care for it, or maybe it increased the rating of the film? Did you experience any drawbacks like that?
A couple, but the producers are really on our side. So there wasn't a lot of conflict on that front.
Yeah.
I think there was some stuff about ratings. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
We might have removed a scene or a little bit of something or other, but nothing that anybody would care about or notice. So I think we were really lucky in that way. We kind of got what we wanted.
Are all of your movies along this same topic line? They're very serious movies?
The one that's coming out next is not as, I wouldn't say it's as serious. It's a serious movie, but you can't get much more serious than Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
So maybe not quite that, but still in the drama, in the drama category. Yeah.
One of the things that I loved about the film was I'm a dad of 4 kids, so when I went to watch it, I was like, wait a minute, am I prepared visually for what I'm going to see in this film? And we can always think of these rated R movies that are just like terrifying, but Sound of Freedom didn't do that. You balance that incredibly well. Tell me why, how it is you came to want to write this film. Of all the films you could have written, why this one?
Well, when Alejandro and I met Tim Ballard for the first time, it was 8 years ago, quite a while ago. And his passion, his determination, his care, his love, and to be frank, the sort of the obvious pain that it caused him to have to do what he does. All of that was so moving and also shocking to learn some of the facts.
Yes.
8 years ago, it was unheard of. Right now, there's a little bit more awareness of the issue, so I think it's perfect timing for the movie because people can sort of absorb it. At the time when I first learned, it just didn't seem real, possible. Didn't seem possible.
Right.
So
Too far-fetched. There's no way going. This is going on.
No way. Who would ever do all that stuff? So, so understanding the depth of the issue, feeling Tim as a potential subject for a movie, all that stuff was like, man, this is great. We got to do it.
Yeah, it's just gold. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it kind of hits on every side.
We've got a lot of our audience watching this on the live stream at home, and they've seen The Chosen. They've seen some of the other movies that Angel Studios has produced. What is your message to them to get them out to the theaters, to get them to go to angel.com/BOGO and get their tickets? If they're on the fence, what would you say to them at home to convince them to come out and see this film?
Well, I'd say 2 things. One, come for the mission. It's an important mission, and the raising of consciousness is the most important thing we can do. Number 2, I'd say it's a great movie. So you will enjoy it in perhaps a difficult way, but the movie will pull you through as movie storytelling. So you will enjoy it on that level as well. So come for both reasons.
It was a brilliant movie. You know, I watch a lot of movies, and not very many people ask my opinion, but wow, what a powerful film. So glad you had a chance to write it and be here to share us the story with us. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Hello, you all. I am here with Alejandro Monteverde. We're going to ask him some questions. We have the director. I have so many things I want to know about this. First off, how do you feel being here with everyone here? I know it's been a long process getting this movie made, but seeing everyone here, getting a live audience reaction, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's one of the greatest accomplishments. For me, today is a very important day because we started this journey around 8 years ago, and this is the destination. So to be here, it feels like we have arrived. Now, we just ask everybody to come see the film in a couple of days.
Please come support it. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you meet Tim? How did this whole collaboration happen?
Well, around 8 or I don't know, 7, 8, I'm really bad with years, but years ago, somewhere, I was watching a news report, I think it was late at night, on child trafficking. And it shook my soul. And I realized that there was this massive darkness that I didn't know about. But it revealed to me that there was another darkness, which is good people knowing about this darkness and doing nothing about it. That's also a darkness, and I didn't want to be part of that. So the next day, I woke up and I started writing a fictional story on child trafficking. And I was deep into that. I actually went and I was able to develop a whole arc. And then the producer of that film, Eduardo Verástegui, which will be here pretty soon, called me and said, have you started writing? I was like, I'm about to. He says, well, stop. Do you know who Tim Ballard is? And I say, no. He says, Google him and call me back. So long story short, here I am. I met Tim and I realized that his true story surpassed and was better than fiction. And then which it was a detour. And then I started writing the script, and here we are. Have you seen the film?
I have seen the film. I love the film. I cried a little bit. Don't tell anyone that at home. But I want to hear, I know this has been a long process, and it's really cool to hear about. The original script was fictional. But what, for you as a director, was the most challenging aspect bringing this story to life on screen?
Well, as a filmmaker, I want audiences to come and enjoy films, not to be hit over the head. So it's hard to take this dark theme so the audience can digest it and go on this journey and enjoy the journey. Because even though it's a dark subject matter, the journey at the end has hope. And I like to make movies that begin when the movie ends. Because when people leave, I like them to leave in a state of reflection. And I'm just humble, in a humble way, we screened the movie for almost 2 years around the nation, and I was able to see the reaction of the audiences, and it's been amazing.
I love that. I saw the movie myself. I felt like I left with a lot of hope, which I wasn't anticipating. I was worried about the subject matter, and I think a lot of people will be pleasantly surprised. I do want to get a little bit into the casting process with Jim Caviezel. How did that whole thing come about? You really grouped together an amazing cast and crew.
Jim, I wish I could take credit. Tim Ballard called us one day. I had an offer out to another actor, and Tim called me and said, hey, I never told you which actor I want to play me. I said, well, who? He said, Jim Caviezel. And in my head, the only reason Jim Caviezel is one of my favorite actors of all time. The only reason I wasn't thinking of him is because I was looking for somebody that looked very close to Tim, like blonde hair and so on. And when I met Tim, I had a great surprise because when I met Jim himself this team was very close to home. He already had rescued children. He adopted three of his children. So he knew this subject more than I did. So for a director to work with an actor that understands the subject as deep as he did, you already won half the battle. So it was an amazing blessing. And next thing I asked him, I said, can I dye your hair blonde? And when I dyed his hair blonde, he looked just almost identical.
It's uncanny.
Yeah. So everything came together.
Oh, I love that. Well, the film turned out great. The last thing I want to ask you is if you could take one audience member right now and watch the movie, what is one thing that you hope they take away? What is one thing that they do differently from here on out that you would hope?
To be aware about this darkness, because it's a lot easier to curse the darkness. That's all we do. We can complain about the darkness, but it's more effective to just light a little candle. And the way for us to light a candle in the darkness is to be aware about the subject matter. So as long as they come to see the film, it comes out in July 4, which celebrates freedom. And one way to honor freedom is to come see this film, because it's a way, there's all these children that have been kidnapped and they're captive. So to just come to see this film and to be aware that this is happening around the world, you're already lighting the little match.
I love that. Light a candle in the darkness. Come see this film. We're doing buy one, get one. Please support this movement. Again, thank you so much. We appreciate having you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, back to you, Owen.
Unbelievable. Mira Sorvino, Academy Award winner, live on the red carpet. Fantastic performance. Very, very dramatic. How did you prepare for this role?
Well, as I was saying, I've been involved in anti-human trafficking efforts since 2004, first as Amnesty International Stop Violence Against Women campaign ambassador, and that's when I learned about modern slavery. And then I started meeting survivors, and they changed my life, and I felt like I had to get involved more because their situation was just so horrific that I couldn't believe that not more was being done to prevent, stop it. So then in 2009, I became a Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime on human trafficking, and I've traveled the world on this theme. So I think it was a combination of my own call to help people exit slavery and to, end the impunity for perpetrators, try and convince people that in terms of sex trafficking, any sort of commercial sex creates the marketplace for trafficked human beings. So even if people think that it's a victimless crime, it's not, because a person will never know if the body that they are exploiting is there voluntarily or not. Right. And so, I just try to bring my heart for human trafficking victims to play her in, and the kind of strength that she had in their family, because I think Tim came to her and was like, I don't know if I should do this, I don't know if I should change my life and give up all the career that I've built up and the security that our family has, but I feel like I need to do more. And then she was like, well, then you need to do more. Then you need to follow your heart and your instincts. And so I just had to tap into that same, morality and that same empathy that I feel, that I know she feels. And I'm a mother of 4. I have a similar life in a way, so. And
it feels like you, in your own even career, like choosing to do faith-based films, it is sort of a threat to your stability. And it's like, I'm not going to be doing these, I'm going to be doing these now. Were you able to tap into a little bit of that to portray the emotion on film?
Well, I do all kinds of films, but I've done several faith-based films, and I'm a serious Christian and a lover of Jesus Christ, and there is no one that Jesus has a bigger heart for than children. And this story is specifically about the exploitation of children, the horrendous abuse of children, and that's always with me. And I if a story is beautiful and has the right message, I'm there for it. All in. Yeah.
The first film that you did that stuck out to me was At First Sight. And I just really loved the film, and that's when you first got onto my radar as like, oh, this is an actress I want to follow. But the last question that I have for you has to do with the moms at home that are watching that think that the topics covered in this film are too much. I've actually had women say to me, I'm not ready to watch that yet. What would you say to those moms, to those women that are watching right now or that are watching this live stream, to urge them to come out and to support this film?
I think that if we turn a blind eye to this, which is occurring all over the world, over 70% of human trafficking victims in the world are women and girls. And, so many human trafficking victims are children. boys and girls. There are over 40 million people living in slavery today, and right now only 0.4% of them get rescued and discovered and rescued and exited, right? Sometimes they exit of their own accord, but less than 1% get out. So I think it is a moral imperative for every human being who is of age to understand this situation and have their heart moved. And I think this story will move their heart. You know, I haven't seen the finished film. So
tonight's the night.
Right. So I don't believe Angel Studios would put something out that was super graphic in terms of the children being exploited.
Right.
But I think as mothers, you know, as women, or even if we don't have children yet or don't even plan to have them, just relating to the suffering of children that occurs around us, I think we have to become part of the solution.
Yes.
And if we're too disturbed by it, or if we write the victims off as lost causes because they've suffered so much, I mean, I think it's a tendency to look away when you're like, oh, it's so bad, but those poor people, what can I do for them? They're already gone. They're not gone. I mean, that's the thing that I have to say, that every survivor that I have met that has come out of a trafficking situation blows me away with their ability to rebound and reclaim the life that God intended for them.
Amen.
Like, none of them are beyond rising above and finding the beauty and the light and their purpose in life. And like, nobody is a lost cause. That's what I've learned. No one is beyond their own ability to have a resurrection story. And I think that we, because of the disturbingness of the whole topic, tend to look away because we can't, our brains almost can't handle it, but we have to, because otherwise it's not going to change. Like, it's crazy that in our time, right around us, in every city, like California, the state where I live, is the nation's #1 state for human trafficking. There's more human trafficking there than anywhere. And like, if we don't get involved, who's going to? That's why we have to educate ourselves. But this is a work of art. It's a beautiful story, and it will move you on a heart level. And it's not just watching a documentary. It's something that hopefully will be moving and lifting to you, even as it does tread hard ground.
Yeah, and it's done so tastefully, and it's done so beautifully. The images are not going to disturb you, but the message will stay with you for a very long time. Mira Sorvino, thank you so much for your time. It's great to see you.
You too.
We are here with the Tim Ballard. I am so excited. This is going to be one of my favorite interviews. The founder of Operation Underground Railroad. He is the reason this is happening. He's the reason so many lives have been changed. If you could encapsulate how you feel being here today after 8+ years of making this in one word, what would it be?
Gratitude, really gratitude, because we are trying to rescue children, and I'm the founder of OUR. I'm the CEO of the Nazarene Fund. I'm working on several other projects and other organizations that are doing the same work. But we can only extract tens, hundreds, thousands, but there's millions. I say gratitude because the storytellers are the ones who will really make the difference. The storytellers rescue millions. When Abraham Lincoln met Harry Beecher Stowe, one of the great storytellers of the 19th century, who wrote a book that contributed to the end of the legalized form of slavery in this country, when he met her, Lincoln said to her, "So you're the little lady that wrote the big book that started this war." He understood. It wasn't even him. He had to be converted by the storytellers to make the Civil War about liberating the captive. We need storytellers today to make it so that politicians recognize that children are in the crosshairs of all the spiritual warfare we see around us. And children need to be elevated to a sacred place. And the only way to do that is millions of voices stand up and say enough is enough. God's children are not for sale.
Speaking of storytelling, this movie is very impactful. I know it's going to impact many. You have a long history. You've had a lot of stories to share. I want to know, why did you pick this one? Out of all of the rescues, what made you decide on this one?
Well, I guess I didn't really decide. The filmmakers grabbed me, and Alejandro Montevero, they took me to a cabin up in the mountains and tied me up to a recording device. And for 2 days, I cried like a baby as they extracted stories out of my head. And this one was interesting to them for several reasons. One, it's a story that combines bad guys, traffickers in the United States, bad guys in Colombia, and children, multinational, because they were thinking the whole time, this has to be a movement more than a movie. They were so deliberate that they hired actors from like 8 different countries, so that when the film came out, it could be distributed and be something that that spoke to many people across borders and boundaries, because trafficking does that. Trafficking doesn't know borders and boundaries. Also, this film, or I'm sorry, the story that you're going to see is the story that was the pivotal one that brought me from out of the government to start this mission on a private level. So for those reasons, I think they chose it.
Well, that's amazing. We love to hear that. I'm excited for everyone to see these stories. You talked about casting. It's universal. I want to hear your experience, though. I know there's been a documentary about you. There's a lot of content around you and your experiences. How did you get to casting yourself on screen, and what is that like watching someone else play you?
Yeah, that's weird. It's a weird thing. They asked me who I wanted. Out of the gate, I said Jim Caviezel. They said, no, look, there's a cool part.
Straight shut down.
Shut down, and not because he's not a phenomenal actor, but because at the end of the movie, there's a kind of a surprise where they bring in some real footage. So you actually see me and some of my team and my family, actually, right, in footage. And they said, you guys look nothing like each other. Jim is tall, dark, and handsome. You are not. And so, yeah, it was ouchy. And I said, I don't care. You can make him look like what you want, but it has to be him, because I know he loves the Lord, and I don't know many actors that do, and that's important to me, because I wouldn't have done any of this were not for that. So I think they know it was the right decision. I mean, Jim killed it in this film.
Oh, I love it. I agree. He was amazing. I do want to get back to that a little bit. You mentioned faith. How has that affected this process and the film? We feel like spiritual warfare is a real thing, and everything I've done on operations, and they leave plenty of hints of it throughout the film. It's not overtly like in your face, but they definitely leave that in there. I mean, these people, everyone that's on this film are people of faith. Eduardo Verástegui, Alejandro Monteverde, Jim Caviezel, everybody in Angel Studios. This is about amplifying light, and it's about bringing light into the spiritual battles that surround us, and for some crazy reason, increasingly are attacking children. And not just children being trafficked, but children at home, and just the threats and the vulnerabilities. So I think this film is one that God can use to liberate his children in many ways. And like you said, and your shirt says, God's children
are not for sale.
Amen. Last thing I want to leave you guys with the audience, what do you hope they take away? What do you think is the most important thing that they use and apply in their life after seeing this movie?
I hope that the movie begins when they leave the theater. That's the goal. And because it's a movie that calls you to action. And it's, I'm working behind the scenes right now on creating a coalition of many organizations to let so many benefit from what's going to happen. Because people are going to ask, what can I do? What can I do? Well, the first thing is get your friends, get everybody to see this film, and then let me give you some options. Follow me afterwards, because I want to take you to the next level, to the next solution. And I'm standing by for that ask, but it's coming.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you. We appreciate everything you've done. And you guys can also see this movie. We are doing buy one, get one. Do not forget, please see this amazing film. Thanks again, Tim.
Thank you.
But what an exciting night with so many members of the cast and crew here answering questions and being a part of the red carpet premiere. This is really a phenomenal film, The Sound of Freedom from Angel Studios. And you can buy one, get one ticket free right now when you go to angel.com/BOGO. That's angel.com/BOGO. You've got an option to choose from over 2,500 theaters all across America, but they are selling out quickly. Hang on. Yep, they're selling out quickly, so get your tickets right now. Pull out the phone. Cindy, I see you, Cindy. Pull out your phone and get your tickets, because these are selling out. They're going fast.
If you have his wallet, you can just return it to the red carpet.
That's right. It's a very thin wallet. There may not be much in it, but please return it as soon as possible.
We will buy you popcorn in exchange.
So what's coming up next?
So, well, if we haven't convinced you to watch the movie yet, to go buy a ticket and get one free, we are going to show you an exclusive sneak peek. Now, this is a whole 9-minute clip of the movie, because we won't be able to show you here, but let's show you a little scene between Jim and Bill Camp. This is a really
powerful
intense
scene.
Midway between the movie. This is something you're not going to want to miss out on, so stay tuned.
Somehow you have failed to bring me one real-world lead.
Or one American child, or one American trafficker.
within 1 million miles of it. Glamour shots of Miss Cartagena don't count.
She has the girl.
And I say the girl's in Russia. Prove me wrong.
It's over, Tim. Close up. Get on a plane and come back home.
Bureaucracy, shit. This is why I operate black. Have a nice flight, Timoteo.
You were a cartel guy.
Yeah?
Kept your mouth shut, did your time. Could have picked up where you left off. Bought yourself a condo on the beach. Instead, you're doing this. Why?
Really? I had that condo on the beach. 15th floor, marble everything, overlooking the whole bay. First night out of jail, I slept in my own bed. Day 2, I was back in business. Same old life. But it doesn't feel right. Not the drugs, not the hookers. But damn it, if I didn't keep trying. So, one night, I'm leaving a bar all jacked up on coca, and I notice this young girl on the corner, fine looking, maybe 20, 25. Take her up to my place, we do the deed, pay the bill. She's putting on her shoes, and I notice something. I notice her foot. She's got these little pink cat faces painted on her toenails. And it hit me. She's not 25. And she glances up and her eyes connect. And it was like I was granted a glimpse into her soul. And all I saw was sadness. Out of nowhere, she starts talking. Turns out she's not 25, not even 20. This girl is 14 years old, Timoteo. She's been doing it since she was 6. Looks at me, smiles, takes the money, walks out the door. All of a sudden, I'm hit by this tidal wave, this tsunami of darkness. And I know I'm the sadness in her eyes. Me. I'm the darkness. And I know the darkness has to die. So I get my 45. Put it to my head. Put my finger on the trigger. Now, if there is a time to ask if God exists, that would be it. So I did. When God you what to do. You cannot hesitate.
So you thought of that? Of doing it on your own?
I won't be on my own. I just have to convince Pablo.
Okay. So, you quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
Resignations in your box.
Wait, you do realize you're 10 months away from vesting your pension?
I do.
You know I did everything I could, but the law is the law.
Did you know there were over 22 million new images of child pornography on the web this past year? That's a 5,000% increase over the past 5 years. 5,000%. The fact is, it is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen.
I agreed to it because we were working with the U.S. government.
To back out now, this whole thing will blow.
It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's going to pass the drug trade. And you want to know why? Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time, but a child, the most precious child, you can sell a 5-year-old kid 5 to 10 times a day for 10 years straight. And everyday ordinary people, they don't want to hear it. It's too ugly for polite conversation. But meanwhile, over 2 million children a year are being sucked into the deepest recesses of hell. Trust me, man, if we do nothing, their pain is gonna spread. Till someday it's gonna reach the likes of you. And that will be a nightmare you're never gonna wake up from.
Sorry.
Oh, sir, the gentleman who just left asked me to give you this.
Wow, what a powerful 9-minute clip from that film. And it was actually a much longer clip. When they filmed it, there was some improvising that happened. They got really deep into the personal stories of the people that they were portraying. And when they left that in, it increased the rating of the movie, which Angel Studios did not want. They did not want to have an R-rated movie. They wanted a movie that the entire family could enjoy. So they cut some of those clips down and gave you what you were just seeing there. But wow, what an incredible clip. What was your reaction to that clip and the movie in general?
Well, again, going back to having something that everyone can watch, what I really left the theater with was this feeling of hope.
Yeah.
And we've talked
That's
a lot
good.
about the subject matter, and it's touchy, and it's deep, and it's intense. And this is a thriller. But at the same time, and I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but you will leave the theater with so much hope and so much joy and motivation to truly change, to want to help this movement.
That's really good.
It is something that has personally affected me. Whether or not you have kids, I don't even have kids yet. And this is something that has really moved me. So if you want to experience what we experienced, leaving the theater with that emotion,
That's right.
please, again, go to angel.com/BOGO.
That's right. You guys got to see a 9-minute clip, but we just got to watch the entire film. And as the dad of 4 kids that I'm aware of, no, I'm kidding. That's a joke for you. It's a joke.
I think we got to steal his wallet again, or his mic.
Yeah, you might want to just turn the microphone off. That might be better. But, you know, as a dad of 4 kids who I love dearly, I mean, within the first 10 minutes of the film, I'm checking my Ring cameras and I'm making sure that my kids are at home. And you start to wonder, what am I going to see in this film? Am I going to see some of these brutal, heinous acts on camera? And you don't. It's done very, very tastefully. And what I love, I think, most about what I really walked away with is that you get a sense of this great evil that exists right under our noses, and we didn't even know. I mean, I didn't even know that this was happening on at this level. But then you get to see what happens when a good man stands up against evil. And what a powerful message for your kids to see, for your family to see, is that we can make a difference. If Tim Ballard, one man, could make such a huge difference, imagine what we could all do if we took this awareness and we did something with it. So I left this movie, like you, feeling very motivated and very hopeful about making a powerful change in the world. And that's why I want to encourage all of you guys to go to angel.com/BOGO, get your tickets, and see the movie. I know a friend of mine told me, she's like, hey, it's a little bit too deep. I'm not sure I could really handle it. But I said, you know, you're not going to see anything too terrible here.
No.
Go watch the movie and let it impact you.
And this is something you're not going to find in Hollywood. No one is making a film like this. And even if they do, it might be exploitative. It might be too triggering. But I feel like this is such a palpable way to take in such an important message. And speaking of men that can make a difference, Tim Ballard, Jim, who played Tim Ballard, fun fact, Tim said that in an interview years ago that if he could have any person play himself in a movie, it would be Jim Caviezel.
No.
And isn't that crazy?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, well, if
that
anyone
was his dream guy. He saw him in Passion of the Christ and Count of Monte Cristo. And
yeah.
from there,
Count of Monte Cristo was so good.
classic.
Another movie about heroes. So, Jim, if you're watching, I'd like you to play me in the movie of my life.
Yeah, Jim, if you want to come over here and steal his wallet, and then we can talk.
That's all it will take to get it done. So what else do we have happening tonight? We've got lots of great things happening.
Yes, we've had a lot of great things going on, but after this, we are going to be doing some interviews with the audience members to get an in-live reaction, see how they feel about it. We've talked with the stars, we've talked with the cast,
Awesome.
and now we're going to talk with you guys.
Let's go talk to some audience members and see how they like the film. Why should people come see this movie?
I think people need to know. I think people need to know that this is going on. It's like I've known about it, and at times I get really motivated to try to do something, and then I get busy with life.
What would you guys say for someone who's on the fence about coming to see this show? What would you tell them?
I'd say that, yes, it is very difficult to see these things, but it is something that we need to get out there. No matter how hard it is, it's harder what they're going through. It's emotional for us, but it's even more emotional for the children out there.
The more people that know about this, the more people that can help stop it. It's like you really need to see it. Yeah.
Let's get initial thoughts. What did we think coming out of this? It's quite intense.
It was really intense, but I watched the trailer, so I knew I was going to cry, so I came prepared.
Came prepared. Smart. Bring the Kleenex.
I did. I cried all over the place when it was sad, and when it was so warm and fuzzy at the end. I loved the end.
I think the title of the movie says it all. It's hard to relate to something that you've never experienced, and I bet that's what even all of the detectives at the time were thinking, like, it's not my kids that are missing, but it's others, and it's a real thing that happens. And if there's any way to prevent it, whether it's donating $15 or $100, it really doesn't matter. Even just seeing the movie, it raises awareness, and I think that's how you can put an end to it and do your part.
Heartbreaking, and also we've just been talking about it was enraging, like so frustrating, and like I was boiling inside that we are not fighting this more proactively and openly, that it doesn't have a bigger face in the world, because it needs it. These children need us, and they need to be spoken for, and they're not. So it was heartbreaking, but like really lit a fire.
For me, it was like super overwhelming, especially in the end. I just like sat there and was like, what did I just watch? But it is one of those things that like this needs to be watched, like it needs to be talked about. And as a mother, like it really just pulled at my heartstrings, just picturing these babies and how their parents are suffering for them and how these kids need help. Like we need more. It's like staring evil in the eye. Like we have to do it sometimes and get uncomfortable in order for something to change and for people to know what's going on.
To me, it's relevant. These are our children, and this is our future.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think too that it's, the cold hard truth is like you hear in the trite saying, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Yeah. Even if you happen to be just ambivalently going through life, thinking that you're not contributing, if you're not working towards a solution.
I've actually seen it a couple times. This isn't my first time. And I keep coming back and bringing new people. I think that it's something that everyone needs to see and everyone needs to participate in. It's something that's going to change the world if we let it. And I think that that's the key is it's up to us. It's completely on us to take it and let it do the change and have the effect that it can if we allow it to.
I wasn't expecting to see this movie tonight, but it ended up, that's the theater we landed in, and I was just blown away by the professional manner it was put together, how well the sound, the video, the directing, just every bit of it touched my heart and my soul, and it awakened that part of me to this message and just the reality of what's happening out there and how we need to get awake. We need to awaken and know what's going on.
Go see Sound of Freedom,
Go see Sound
for
of
sure.
Freedom now.
It'll be the most
And tell
valuable,
others about
important
it.
thing that you do. Go see Sound of Freedom.
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 Woo! Go see Sound of Freedom and do it now.
Well, there you have it. We've had a great night tonight, you guys. We started off with a bang, and we've made it through till now. We've had an experience. We've talked with so many amazing people, cast, crew, and you guys as well. And we just want to say thank you.
And I don't want to say goodbye.
No.
I'm sorry that it all has to end. We've had this incredible night. It is this experience with this amazing film. And one thing that I really want to encourage for those of you at home is when you find out what the Sound of Freedom is, that scene in the movie is going to make it's going to make your heart leap with joy. And there's a really fun thing that happened with some of the kids that were in that is they came up with a song called Let Freedom Ring. And they all got together and they recorded a professional version that we want to leave you with tonight. So as we fade out, as we cut out and say goodbye, we want to remind you to go see this movie and play your part, especially right now. In this time in our history as a country, in this time as in our history as a people, there's a lot of challenges and our kids are under attack. But if we come together, we truly can let freedom ring.
Once again, this is not just a movie, this is a movement, because one small choice you make will make ripples of change.
We'll see you next time.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's going to pass the drug trade. Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time with a child 5 to 10 times a day. God's children are not for sale.
How long you been doing this?
12 years now.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? ¿Puedes ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana?
Te lo prometo.
We're Homeland Security. You know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
Which means she'll disappear for good. Imagine walking into her room right now, seeing an empty bed. What we do?
You quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
So at this moment, she could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA. She's a major operator.
It's all rebel territory. No one goes in. Not the army, not the police, not us.
What if this was your daughter?
There's no Marine unit coming.
You're on your own. This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
When God tells you what to do,